KTUI forecaster Jimmy O'Neill. Have a great day.
KTUI time is 10:05 and the current temperature is 45 degrees. I'm Sam Scott for KTUI.
Go.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. Here we are live at the White Mule Winery on the high plains of Gasconade County. A cool 47 degrees here at airtime on KTUI, 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly you are watching us live on Facebook. Gracie, it'd be nice if you could turn that camera outside because it's so pretty out there and such a pretty view. Everything's greening up, but I don't guess we can do that.
I don't think so.
Well, we might have to do it from outside sometime. But anyway,
I'd be fine with that.
Okay. Good to have you along here this morning on KTUI. 47 degrees and a blue sky. A few cirrus clouds running around, and spring is amongst us. The grass is growing green. We had about 2 3/4 inches, according to neighborhood, inches of rain since we was last seen you last week. And that's good. It's starting to dry back off here, and things are well at the White Mule, and hopefully they're well with you here this morning. We have a guest here this morning, Ryan Oakenfush, who is part of the administration of the Owensville R2 school. Ryan is the AD, athletic director, and you probably have other titles too, Ryan, but you know, that's your primary thing, is to keep the athletic departments running smooth, and that had to be a challenge in the last year. But you know, the good part of that is we're back in school. Last year at this time we were not in school.
Last year at this time we were not in school, but we've been in school all year. You know, we've done a great job with our teachers, our students, all of our support staff, with our custodians, our cooks, just keeping everybody safe, you know, practicing safe, taking measures, you know, making sure everything was on the up and up, and as clean and disinfected as we could. And then, of course, with wearing masks and everything, that cut down on the number of students that we had to quarantine. But you know, we've been able to roll through the year pretty well, and for the most part, it's been as normal of a year as you could have, you know, given the circumstances. So.
And I couldn't agree with you more in regard to the job that you know, everybody did at Owensville School. You know, we see on the news that there's a lot of schools across the nation that are yet to call them back, and it just shows you what can happen when people work together, and when they put the priority needs where they need to be, and that is on the students, in my opinion, and certainly on the teachers and everybody else. But you know, kids should be in school, and you know, you have did you know, an amazing job in and all the districts in our, you know, in our area has did a great job, you know, keeping the doors open, doing everything they possibly can to keeping things as normal as they can, and our students will be the benefactors of that. There's no question about it. You know, that said, I'll bet you there's a lot of teachers looking forward to a little break coming up here.
Yeah, you know, and like you said, it's great, and it's better for the students to be in school. It's always better and easier to actually learn from a person, you know, in front of the room when they're there with you, and you can ask questions in real time whenever you need the support, you know, compared to doing it online. But you know, there's a lot of school districts that are going that way, and that are able to thrive still, you know, and adapt to that. And that's the nice thing about, you know, with the technology that we have, and you know, really kids are adaptable, you know, to situations. So, you know, as odd as a situation online may have been for some people or for some school districts throughout the state, you know, they were able to adapt and kind of get used to that new norm. But you know, all the extra stuff that we've done, I mean, there's never been any pushback from anybody, because like you said, it's all been focused on the students and what's best for them and keeping them healthy. So, you know, our teachers and even, you know, our students going through all the extra measures, they've rolled with that, and they've been good with that. But, you know, everybody is, you know, it's getting to the springtime. It's getting nice outside. You know, everybody's kind of got one eye on that summer, and you know, we're getting down to, you know, our standardized testing and getting what we can do to prepare for next year. But I think everybody's kind of got, like I said, got that eye in the summer, and hoping that when we come back in August, that things are a lot more the way they used to be, you know, a lot more normal. But only time will tell, and
Sure.
whatever the situation is throughout the country, you know, on that regards.
In regard to, you know, the virtual learning and those things, what kind of aggregate percentage, you know, like in our district, is on? I'm sure, and I don't know this, but my assumption would be that there are, you know, some special needs students, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, are online, or am I wrong? There are.
We have a few. I can't speak to all the other buildings in the district. I know in the high school, I believe we are somewhere in the 30 to maybe 40 range as far as students who elected to go online, and that was for the fall semester. Some of those students have returned back and are in seat now for the spring semester, and just kind of as the wave, you know, with the virus and everything, kind of. It is more controlled. It isn't as rampant or erratic as what it was in the fall. But some of those students have come back. Some of our special needs students may have started online, and then even in the fall semester, those students who decided to go online, if they wanted to come back to the building, we would allow them to come back. You know, as their individual circumstances described, or, you know, whatever their individual needs were, if that was necessary for those special needs students, then we brought them back to give them the proper support that they needed for their education.
Since the program of being virtual or online was, I'm assuming that it was volunteer, you know,
Yes, absolutely. It was 100% volunteer.
You know, a volunteer, you know, situation. Without getting in the over details, the flyover of it, do the teachers perceive that those that chose to do virtual are keeping up to some degree, or you know, or not? I mean, I know every situation is totally different, but you know, as a whole.
Well, what our district decided to do, instead of having our teachers both teach the class in person and virtually online, what we did is we partnered and contracted with an outside company called EduSeer. And EduSeer, there's a lot of like homeschool programs that use their platform. So, and a lot of other schools use that platform as well for credit recovery type purposes. So that EduSeer program and process, they were enrolled in 7 classes, just like they would be at the high school. It was kind of a work at your own pace. There was an expected pace. If you wanted to work on history for 3 weeks straight and finish that up, and then go to math for 3 weeks and finish math, and then go to English, you could. Or, you know, you could do it just like you did in school. Work on math for an hour, work on history for an hour, and go throughout your day. So a lot of that was online. The students had to read a lot more, because instead of a teacher giving the instructions as far as what the assignments were and the curriculum, that had to be read. There was a teacher available through the EduSeer program that they can email and reach out to, and even, you know, I would imagine also video chat through you know, different platforms, Zoom or Google Meets, etc. That they could reach out to. So there was a teacher but it wasn't one of our teachers in the building. It was with the Eduseer program and platform. So that's where we went for our high school. I would imagine it was district-wide. So again, I'm not 100% knowledgeable about what happened in some of the other
Right.
buildings, but that's where we were. We've had.
Well, at least there's some there is some exposure there.
Right.
There is an amount of accountability.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That will be there, and there is a certain amount of discipline and structure,
Right.
even if they are online at home.
And yeah, you're right. And we've, the students who are, self-motivated, self-starters, they did really well with it, and were able to get through. And we probably had some students that when we got to Thanksgiving may have been finished with their entire curriculum, because it isn't that they had to spend so many hours on it. They just had to pass the homework assignments, and the tests. So, they could get through 25% of it in less than 25% of the semester, or half the semester in less than half of our semester. It was a work at your own pace. So the students that aren't as self-motivated struggled a little bit with the time frame, the timeline, but and that's something that as an adult, we have adults that are on top of things and always kind of work ahead, or just are more self-motivated than what others are, and it's a good lesson sometimes that some of those students learn if they maybe procrastinate a little bit, that maybe they can make a shift in how they do things for the betterment of their future self.
You threw a concept out there that I find interesting, and that was that the choice was given, such as history. If you wanted to spend, a couple of weeks or whatever, a seventh of your time or whatever to go through this discipline, and focus all your time and energy upon that, other than taking 6 different or 7 different classes a day or whatever. I would have picked recess most. I'd have did that first, see how I did it. But I think that's an interesting concept, Ryan, because there are people that learn, that way. And I'm well, I don't know if I learn anything anymore, but I'm kind of like that. When I'm focused on something, I want all that information, and I'll look at an issue and study it and do whatever for as long as it takes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For me to get through that and me to get those questions answered without other distractions, there's
you like to complete a task before you move to the next task, and there's a lot of people, that are like that, and a lot of people, work that way, and there's all kinds of different ways to get things done, and accomplish your tasks before a certain timeline, and you can work a little bit on each thing, or you can't. And there are schools around the state that not really adopted that, but whenever you start talking about a 4-block schedule, and you're in class for an hour and a half, and you go to 3 or 4 classes one day, and then the next day you go to 3 or 4 different classes, you're not spending 45 minutes on every single class every day. You're kind of more isolating your time on these specific coursework. So some schools are doing that, not to the extent where you're solely working on one course, but
and I don't say it would.
Throughout the state.
I don't say that it would be for the majority of the students, by no means, because I think if you listen to talking about government for 8 hours a day, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it was, most people would want some break in that. I'm just saying, I think when you look at things and approach it that way, you probably get to a higher level of questioning and a deeper in the weeds, thing in those disciplines that you may never touch. You know what I'm saying? If you are taking a different approach to it.
Yeah, it's possible. And it all depends on to how much interest that individual has in that
Right.
topic. The things that you're more interested in, you're willing to delve deeper into those weeds. Rather than just kind of skirting the outside edges of the swamp or whatever. So, and anytime you find yourself interested in a topic, you're gonna look into it and spend more time,
Sure.
more time in it. And I don't think that's an individual by individual process. I think that's just
Who you are,
people
right?
in general.
No, I concur. Well, not only did the staff, and the students do a good job, I don't get any feedback, from daily from parents, and I know that they're always a challenge, but I think, as a whole, most parents have been very, very supportive of the job you've been doing and helping, get through this particular period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
And, they too need, because in some situations, Ryan, they made the biggest sacrifice of all. Some of them didn't, what I'm saying, didn't get to go to work or had to be there or whatever else. And, they made some huge sacrifices in order to get their kids done with, so they could do what they needed to do.
I can't say enough about our parents, because, I mean, there was quite a bit of just flexibility on their part, from making sure that their child was healthy before they sent them to school, and then whenever it came to quarantines, I never once had a parent, whenever I called and let them know that their student was going to have to be quarantined because they were close exposure. I never once had a parent get upset with our process, with our procedures. They were all very understandable. They were very thankful for the call and thankful for what we're doing to try and keep the kids healthy. But their flexibility throughout this whole thing, and just their understanding and keeping their kids home when they were supposed to. Keeping their kids safe and keeping others safe, instead of sending them home, sending their kid to school when they could possibly have been positive and spread the virus throughout the building. They did the right thing, and for those that were working, they sacrificed, took the day off if the child was small enough, or had a child at home while they worked from home for those that could, my hat's off to them, because without their support, their kids wouldn't have been as supportive and as open to what we did in the building. So, there's only so much you can do from the top down, but whenever you have the support of the community that we have in general for, across the board on almost any topic that we have in the school district, but specifically in these times, the support that we have from the community and the parents, it shows in the way that the kids in the buildings were accepting of all the subtle differences we just have a great community, and we're thankful for it.
The amount of quarantine cases, where are we at in regard to, the number of quarantine? I'm sure we're less, you know what I'm saying, than we had been at our peak. But how relevant, how often are we still doing a lot of quarantining?
No, actually we're not. Earlier this fall, before the governor and the health department, the mask rule, where both if the individual who tested positive and the close contacts, that if they were both wearing masks properly, then the close contact would not have to quarantine. Before that mandate happened, we were having quarantines here and there, and sometimes sending 25, 30 kids home at a time. Since that's happened, Dr. Garner, every time that we do have someone test positive, sends an electronic notice out. But every single time we've been identified as 7 individuals, 10 individuals that are close contacts. But because of the mask policy that we've instated, nobody's had to go home and be quarantined. So the number of quarantines, I think within the first 2 weeks of mandating of the mask policy, right after Thanksgiving, we saved almost 890 class hours of quarantine time because there were so many, a certain number of kids that would have gone home prior but didn't have to because of the mask policy, and they were able to stay in the classroom, stay in this, in their teacher, and it makes a big difference, with those kids actually being in the classroom. It makes a big difference for them.
Someone said at church board the other night that we were talking about picnic, coming up and how we're going to do those things. But someone said that they had heard that in Gasconade County there was only 2 active cases at this juncture. I don't know that to be a fact, but we know that it's lessened.
Yeah, and, I'm completely unaware of what the active case is right now. I know it's been a good little while since I've received anything from Dr. Garner about a positive case being in the school district, whether it's a teacher, a bus driver, a student, or haven't received one of those in just a little while. So it does seem like the cases is going, the amount of cases is going down within the area, but I can't speak to.
No, and not to say it's all over, because that's the worst possible thing that we could do. Is let this thing jump up at this juncture and nab us once again. But I think it's just as important to talk about the less cases as it is the more cases, because it's important information that we can assess daily, in regard to how we approach things and what we do to get back to a normal situation. And and I know that things will never be normal again, and you'll probably, for the rest of whenever, you'll probably see people wearing masks, you know what I'm saying, in our community for here on out, I mean, and it's their right to do so. Right. And if they got health issues and there's other things, I totally support them by doing that without a doubt. But the fact of the matter is we have to let people make their own choices, right. And we just have to go on and accept what's out there.
Right, and just like you said, it does seem like the number of cases are going down, but we can't just chalk it up as saying that this thing is over. There was a school that I was just made aware of yesterday that had a couple kids get quarantined. So it's not over. I think more people are getting vaccinated, so more people feel like they may have the added protection where they can go about a more normal daily routine. And you very well may have people that continue to wear masks even beyond the
sure.
lifetime. Well, I shouldn't say the lifetime, because I'm not sure if this is ever going to go away. We may adapt to it. I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but and I think after we've been doing this for long enough, people, whether it's here locally or anywhere throughout the country, or the mindset of someone wearing a mask is completely different than what it was whenever everything started. And I think people are going to be more aware and mindful that someone wearing a mask is doing it to protect themselves and for their own health. And if they have health reasons, if it's going to prevent an older community member from getting the flu or having other health complications, and improve their life and their extend their life and improve their living situation, then by all means, it's their right to do so.
And some of our leaders, have had, Dr. Fauci, for instance, has been under the gun lately, you know what I'm saying, and continuing to wear a mask. He's 80 years old. He's had both vaccinations. But I want to cut him a little slack to some degree, because he's looking at the bigger picture, and he's trying to say that it's not totally all over.
Right.
And this is me. This is my choice. I've chosen to take this leadership position. For people that may not have, a situation. And I don't even know if absolute scientific facts have been given. For a while, Ryan, and I don't want to get too deep in this at all, weeds, but for a while we wasn't exactly sure that you couldn't shed this, not have this virus and still carry it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's the case or not anymore, even if you've had the vaccination. But those are unanswered scientific questions, you know what I'm saying, that need to be thought through and considered, and we will have them answered. It may be a long time to do it, but let's talk about sports.
Let's do that.
Let's talk about sport, because that's what you get paid for. Hey, recently we got a couple of gals that work here that play girls basketball and boys basketball, and since Gracie's been out of school, which is, how many years have that been, Gracie?
7?
No, I don't think it's been 7, has it?
Yeah.
We kind of dropped out of the sports thing, because when you do it for 20 years, and hit it all the time, it wears on you a little bit. Not that you don't enjoy it, but Karen and I went to one of the tournament games, and we so thoroughly enjoyed being there and being watching the girls that work here and the guys that work here play. We went back, and there's only like 2 or 3 games left. We went back as much as we could, because it's still exciting, Ryan. It is still a wonderful thing that brings people together, and it being there live is so much different, than watching it on TV or whatever. So you're still selling a good product, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We have tremendous athletes here in this community and walk in our schools, and not only are they great athletes, they're great students. I want to take, for instance, our girls basketball program. We had an academic all-state member in Caitlin Landholt. We had Anna Finley earned all-state. We had, I believe, both of them are Anna Finley and Emma Daniels. Both were all-conference and all-district. So those are the recognitions that a lot of people see, but of Coach Flanagan's varsity team, I think he carried 8 or 9 players on his varsity squad. There was only one of them that didn't earn academic all-conference, which means their GPA was above a 3.6. So those girls are not only getting things done on the court and performing on the court, they're excelling in the classroom. And we had a number of, I believe we had on the boys' side, we had a number of boys, maybe around 4 or 5 of them, that earned academic all-conference as well. So, there's a lot of good things, and we have athletes all over the building, but they're not just sports people. They're not just athletes, and they're getting done in the classroom. They're good, well-rounded students and individuals, and that's what we're most proud of, is the young adults that we're growing, in the community, and hopefully enough of them decide to stay here locally where they can give back, and then we can, do the same for their children whenever they come through.
And I can only add to because a couple of those students that you talked about work here,
right.
And I can tell you their character, their demeanor, how they treat people. They are just wonderful people, young people to be around, and a couple of those gals, after we watched them, came and sat, what I'm saying, with Karen and I, the rest of the boys' game.
Right.
What's with that? That don't happen. 65-year-old guy, and or whatever, and girls coming over and chat. Well, they wouldn't talk with Karen, obviously. I guess I figured that out. But character,
right?
That is absolute character that will take them to wherever they want to go.
Right. And everybody starts out playing athletics because it's fun and it feeds that competitive nature that you have. But one of the biggest things that you can draw out of athletics is being a teammate, having that high moral character as far as, making sure that you follow the rules, you work as hard as you can, you set goals, and you try to do whatever you can to achieve those goals. And those goals don't always have to be individual goals. They can be team goals. And then you have someone to lean on whenever you're starting to struggle. Someone else can lean, you can lean on them. They can pick you up, whether it be they pick up their game and pick up some of your slack for a little bit and score a few extra points, or they're there to support you and to continue to encourage you. And that just builds community, and it builds teamwork, it builds family, and learning to work with someone and support someone when they're performing well and when they're struggling is a very key component to being successful in life in the future. And yeah, we're focused on wins and losses, and wins and losses go on the paper, but it's like I said before, it's those students that walk across that stage at the end of their 4 years of high school, and what kind of young people they are, and what kind of young adults that they're going to be. That's what we're most proud of. And if we can win a few ball games and a couple playoff games here and there, that's icing on the cake. But
and losses is part of that thing. That builds character also.
It builds character also. The hard losses and how you deal with a loss and how you deal with frustration. What do you do to try to avoid having that same frustration? How hard do you work to try and get better, or are you just going to let your body drown in it and just accept it? Or are you going to try to fight, persevere, and overcome? And that's what sports is about too. It's riding that high, but also not making sure your valleys are too deep.
The other interesting thing, being at them several games that we were, is I found this very interesting because Coach Van Leer, has just my assessment. Not only being to a couple of games, watching this, but here's a coach, I'm saying, I think that has a lot of potential, and I think has improved the team, to some degree, a lot. But the interesting part of that was that, his dad, Coach Van Leer, was also sitting on the sidelines while he was coaching, and I was just totally impressed with that, because could you envision me sitting on the bench with Gussie?
Well,
there is no way I can do that, and that shows a lot of discipline and structure,
right. And with Coach Van Leer, with Colin on the sidelines, in his first year, he's been around his dad coaching his whole life. He's seen his dad coach. He's gone to Mizzou and with Coach Anderson and Coach Martin, and he knows the ins and outs of basketball. He knows his X's and O's. He knows a good practice and he knows a bad practice. But especially as a first year coach, there's so many little things, and just having John on the sidelines with him, just to maybe make him aware that these little things might be coming up, or just that experience factor of having, because our other two coaches are relatively young coaches too, and him being able to act as a mentor really for all three of them, it
awesome.
was a great factor. And the fact that John was able to sit back and let those other coaches take that forefront, he was happy to do that, and really, like I said,
and he did it well. He did it well. To Coach Kemp and to Coach Lewis and of course to Cohen, but it was great to watch the dynamic, of Cohen going out there, his son working everything, and John kind of taking a step back and taking that secondary role, and it was a lot of fun watching the practices and stuff. I have a lot of respect for that entire family, because they have totally committed, what I'm saying, to education. They're totally committed to their family. There is nothing else for them other than trying to do the right thing, and she's a superintendent, which,
Retiring superintendent now.
Pardon?
Retiring superintendent.
That's true. But anyway, they've committed. They have committed and did a phenomenal job, not only with their kids and family, but for so many others. We're fortunate, what I'm saying, to have them as part of our greater community here, and they're a great influence on a lot of people. So, that's all good. So, winter sports are over. Spring is here.
I do want to touch on our wrestling program. We had 3 individuals qualify for the state wrestling tournament. 2 of them they fell just short of getting a medal, and we had one of them who was a sophomore at the 106-pound level, Michael Martin. He took 5th place at state. He lost his first match of the day and came back and won his next, I believe it was 4 matches.
Wow.
His next 4 matches to take 5th place, and that's
great. Wrestling from back.
That's great perseverance too.
That's
getting that disappointment right off the bat, first thing, and then going through and he controlled most of his matches the rest of the way through. He pinned every one of those 4 kids. So, he had a really good day. So we came home with a state medalist for the first time in a couple of years, and that was nice. But
kind of my point being that losses build character also.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head right there. So.
Yeah. There's no question about that at all. Well, that's. I've watched the boys, and I don't know anything that really burdens more on individual shoulders, you know what I'm saying, and there is, obviously, but wrestling is it's quite a sport to build character and build individual fortitude, and it's a good sport. There's no question.
Yeah, those kids are definitely tough kids.
We'll look forward to seeing them, come down the road here. So I guess at this juncture, it's about baseball, which is kind of, I'm not saying it's your favorite, but I know you for baseball. Well, I don't know. I mean, why is that? Because you coached and, but you do enjoy baseball.
Yeah. It is springtime, and, baseball is America's pastime. And I've played baseball since I was a kid, and then
what position do you play?
I caught. I was a catcher, and my dad was a catcher.
Really?
I think my grandpa was a catcher. So it's something we always did. But and then once I got into teaching, I didn't coach in the springtime because when my first teaching job, all the baseball coaching positions were filled. So I started umpiring, and I've done that for 19 years, up until the point that I took this position as the activities director and A+ coordinator. But it's springtime. We have golf. We have boys golf, and Coach Van Leer coaches that. Tyler Ehring is our head baseball coach, along with Casey Fisher and Stephen Kemp. And then we have Coach Kandra with the track team, and he's an institution also. He is an institution, and they've, he's brought district championships, he's brought conference championships, and he always puts a quality program on the track.
Cross country too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does cross country as well. That's in the fall. I got to experience my first 2 track meets this year. I didn't get to experience any of them last year because we did end the season and end the school year early. But watching those kids and the amount of effort and even the technique work that Coach Kandra and his staff does with the kids as the event is going on, whether it's they're down there with the pole vault and working on watching.
I always wanted to be a pole vaulter, didn't you, Gracie?
Yeah.
not right now,
but watching that, and he'll tell his pole vaulters that at this spot here you're at 43 and a half feet, you need to be at 43. So telling him that his foot placement is off by 6 inches at this point, which has a cumulative effect at the end where you're trying to vault. And just that little stuff, the same with the throws and the jumps. they're constantly working and tweaking technique, and our coaching staff is good enough that, and they're knowledgeable enough that they can see that and make those minor tweaks live, in real time, and that's what's amazing. And then not only can the coaching staff make those realizations, the kids are coached well enough during the week and during training that they know exactly what those coaches are meaning. They can go out and apply that, and then they can hit that mark, or they can make, if they're throwing a shot put and their elbows out, they need to get under it a little bit more. They can make that adjustment and go out and perform better, and then have a better throw if it's by 4 inches or 6 inches, or, well, I guess we need to talk about meters and centimeters now, because track is completely converted to metric. But those kids are so well coached that they can make those adjustments within the day, within the meet, and and we have a couple big things going on here. We have the baseball team.
They're doing a great job. I just seen how many in a row here? 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah, we've only lost one game, and it's been to Rolla in the FRC tournament, and that was back around March 22nd, 23rd. So we've put together. We got a strong team, and what's really exciting about it is a lot of the core group of that team is our juniors, and we have a couple really nice seniors sprinkled in. So
we got a young man that plays on there also, and he told me the other day how many sophomores and juniors. There are a lot. They're very deep.
Right. We are very deep. This is probably the first year in a while that I can remember that, I can almost say that we have 4 or 5 arms, pitchers that are really good pitchers that can carry us at any given moment.
That is unusual.
Sometimes it's been 2, and then you have a couple of guys that can throw and maybe throw strikes, but we have kids who can pitch and move the ball and control the ball really well. So, Coach Herring is he's got some kids on the mound and some kids that can swing the bat, and it's going to be really exciting come the end of the season when we get to our district tournament and what the conference results look at. It's going to be it's looking up to where we can have some pretty decent results. They're playing in the Hickman tournament in Columbia this weekend. So there's some really good teams in that that tournament. So he's going to need all those arms to throw well. But playing some bigger schools, some really good historic programs. We're playing Jeff City, Helias is in there, Hickman, Rockbridge.
Wow.
And then Borgia's in a tournament a little more locally. Rolla's in that tournament. So we're going to play some really good teams. We're going to get tested. We may lose a game or 2 in that tournament, but you're not going to find out how good you are, where you fit in, unless you play some good competition. And Coach Aaron came up to me and he told me he wanted to play some good competition. He wanted to get back into this tournament. We found a way to make it work. So that's coming up on the baseball side. Golf, they are, today's Thursday. Tuesday they had a golf meet where they were gone.
Coach Vandalier, you said okay.
Yes. Next week they play in the Helias tournament, and then they play in a tournament in Sullivan next week that are all-day tournaments. Soccer, soccer we're playing pretty well.
Girls soccer,
yes. We lost a tough one earlier this week on Tuesday to Sullivan. That was a 2-1 loss. But the girls are playing hard. They're playing well, and they're moving the ball up and down the field and playing well together. They have a tournament coming up that we host here. Excuse me, at the high school. It's the week of it's the last week of the month there. It's going to be on Tuesday the 27th, and then we're going to pick back up on Thursday and Friday. The 29th and 30th, and then the championship for the tournament is going to be on Saturday the 1st. So we'll play 3 games in that tournament. We have 6 teams total coming, and it's going to be a fun couple days where we get to see them, and hopefully we'll be able to bring home our own hardware.
You know, the amount of finesse and the amount of work that these young kids put into it, such as in baseball, is absolutely amazing to me. Because Eli was telling me the other night when we were, well, it wasn't the other night because he practices every day, but over the weekend that he was working, we talked about it. He does a little pitching. He said, "So, well, what kind of, what do you pitch?" He said, I pitch fastballs and change-ups and curve. And I said, "What? You're a junior, and I remember talking with Tom Hinkie, who's a great friend of our family and the wife. I remember him saying that he never, he went to East Central with Karen and, pitched down there. He never learned how to pitch anything until he went to Springfield, even after college to work on these other pitches. I mean, it's amazing that a junior, would know how to pitch those.
Well, yeah, and when you start getting into some of the really competitive, even youth baseball, you'll have kids that are still in middle school and they'll be throwing curveballs and they'll be throwing changeups and they'll be throwing a two-seam fastball, a four-seam fastball to get a little bit of movement on it. But kids are developing and with there's specialized camps and everything all throughout, and they're learning how to do some of that stuff at younger and younger age, and they're developing, and some of them, whether it be through training or whatever, making sure that their bodies are able to complete that task. But yeah, you see it all the time. I mean, I've umpired for quite a few kids in the area that have had really good breaking balls. So,
well, it's we're looking forward to this spring probably more than any spring in quite a while. I don't know in my lifetime, but I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad we are where we're at, at this juncture with what we went through. A couple of other questions, though, on the bigger picture stuff. Graduation,
right.
Coming up here. How has a date been set there?
Date has been set. It is on a Sunday. I believe it is May 23rd. Let me check my...
And when's the last day of school? Do you know that?
Let's see. Yes. So yes, graduation is May 23rd. The last day of school for our students is May 26th. So for those last couple days, well, the seniors will have their traditional senior week,
right? Where
they have their senior barbecue, and there'll be a few things where they will have their graduation practices and so forth. That week of the 17th through the 21st, they'll graduate and walk across the stage on the 23rd. We'll have finals.
Are they planning inside or outside on the?
I think we're planning on outside. I think we're doing it at the football field again. I believe it's going to be a Sunday evening. I'm not 100% sure that time has been set.
Do we know are we gonna open it up, or do we know?
That is, I'm not sure what kind of limitations we're going to have. I know for our football games, we had a set number of fans that we allowed in. Of course, we're using both sides of the field. With graduation, we're only going to use one side of the field, the grandstands. We're with track. We're keeping track of how many people are coming in, but that's still a month and a half away.
I know that it is, and a lot of things. I just think about last year and how that situation played out, and I absolutely feel sorry for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Doing what they did and waiting that long and not having that high point of the moment. I feel sorry for the teachers as much as anything, because those last weeks of school, you get to tell the kids what you get that last push of motivation, and you can tell the kids, here's what you really are. Here's my assessment of what you are and what you can do, and give them that last staying power. You know what I'm saying? I remember, my teachers, what they told me, the last day of school. Where were you guys at?
Well, I feel bad for the kids, because there are a lot of things that, in your last couple weeks of your senior year that are special. We had a group of seniors. I it's probably been close to 10 or 12 years ago now, started a tradition on the last day of school that they come back on the half day, that everybody comes out and there's a big water balloon fight, so that, we didn't get to do that last year. The seniors didn't get to go around and, have those last couple of moments in the hallways together where, where you kind of really solidify some of those friendships that last, into the future. But what I was very proud of our district is that we were able to find a way where we could graduate, we could bring them back and celebrate, the class of 2020, and we were able to do so safely. We were spread out the seats on the football field. We allowed parents to come in, and we had them sitting in family groups, in small clusters, and spread them out on the football field and the bleachers. So, we were able to give that final culminating event and that graduation that those kids deserved, the graduation that those parents deserved to see happen. But again, we were able to do it in a responsible and safe manner that was really benefited everybody. So we're looking. I'm sure we're gonna take some measures at some point, or recommendations. Maybe somewhat similar, but we're looking forward to a good event to celebrate the class of 2021.
We're talking with Ryan Okenfush, who is the AD Director for Gasconade County R2 Schools, and we're going to come back in just a second here on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly Facebook Live if you're watching. And Gracie, will you tell us what else is going on in our neck of the woods this weekend?
Yes. The annual Spring VFW is having their drive-through barbecue on Friday, April 16th. Please call ahead for orders at 437-3333, and that is at the Owensville VFW Post 6133, and they will start serving at 10 a.m. Dinners are $11 and sandwiches are $5. The 34th annual GTA Car Show and Spring Fest is Saturday, April 24th. They will have the Antique Car Show downtown Owensville on 1st Street. Registration is at 8 a.m. to noon, and judging is at noon. They will have a craft fair and vendors, food court, and a spring art raffle. Are we doing a spring festival at the school this year with Maypole and stuff?
They're doing a festival at the Maypole. The 5th grade class is doing that with their spring concert whenever they do that. So
I was just curious if that was
they're gonna wind them. I believe they're gonna wind the Maypole and everything then. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but we're still gonna do it.
Good. This Friday, the White Meal, we will be serving steak, shrimp, beef kebabs, and Italian cheesy chicken from 5 until 8:30. Ben Hampton will be here for entertainment starting at 6. Saturday, we will have our steaks and pizza wings and hamburgers from 5 until 8:30 as well. And Sunday is all-you-can-eat pan-fried chicken from 11 until 3:30.
Okay. You going to have a baby this week?
I hope not.
Well, I just asking, it would be okay,
It would be okay, but
I think you're...
would rather her wait a little while.
Yeah. But you've got another month, right? A little
Month
over.
and a half.
A little over, but things are well and with you, and that's good.
Going good.
Hey, Ryan, it's always a pleasure to have you here, and I always learn something when you're here. You represent your school very well.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
Well, it's either here or eating out here. It don't make any difference. Good to have you. Tell my niece hello, and she's doing okay with her new job.
Yeah, she's doing well and working out there at Gerald at First State Community Bank. So if you need a loan, go see her.
Yeah, exactly. And I listen to her on the radio all the time. She's there, but I said, one big difference with the job with the Red Cross and what you got. I don't know if you like it better or worse, and she said she enjoyed it. But that Red Cross, she had to bring her work. She did a lot of that from home. 7/24, you know what I'm saying. Of course, she's so structured, you know what I'm saying. You probably didn't notice, but Hey, good. good to have you aboard.
Good. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for what you do for us, and thank you. We'll be back here next Thursday, same time, same place. Good Lord willing, and enjoy the week. Go out, and I hear that they're finding mushrooms out there, which is a very favorable time, Gracie. You might want to go out and, talk with Uncle Kenny and check his favorite trees. He won't tell me, but maybe he will tell you.
He'll tell me.
Hey, great for you to be along. God bless you, and we will see you next week.
All right. Do you have any questions about your right to remain silent or to testify on your own behalf?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right. Has anyone promised anything or threatened you in any way to keep you from testifying?
No promises or threats, Your Honor.
Do you feel that your decision not to testify